Oh shit. Here we go again.
Hello and welcome out to this episode of Outbreak Gamers. I'm your host, David Anthony, aka WEBDAVE, and we are very lucky today to have with us Ptk Bl4M. What's up, buddy?
How you doing, man? Glad to be here. Thank you for having me, man. Appreciate you. I
Oh
know we've been
man,
trying to get this together for the last few weeks, but thank you for having me on, man. I'm glad to be here.
oh well, that's all I got's time, so it's worth it, man. We work it out. It's all good. That's
Yes,
why I try
sir.
not to be too much pressure on anybody. I don't want to. I appreciate your time very much, and I do appreciate that you had me on your show too. So that was very nice, very
Oh, it
cool.
won't
I
be the
love
last
that.
time, man. We had a ball last time you were on, so it was a good time.
It was fun. It was fun. Thank goodness Kay Asante was there to carry me.
Yeah, right. Shout out to Asante.
Exactly. No, it was a lot of fun, and of
Oh yeah.
course, Pong and Fuzzy are just absolutely the best. So yeah, that was great, man. That was
Oh
great.
yeah.
All right. Well, I guess as we usually try and get into things, if you don't mind, we're going to start with kind of like what what kind of jobs or education have you gotten? As you started out your life as you were a
Uh-huh.
young little PTK.
Well, I'm from California. I mean, if we're gonna start from the beginning, we got to start
Yeah,
all the way from the
let's,
beginning.
let's do it.
Originally from California, living in Phoenix, Arizona, as of right now for the last 10 years or so. But ultimately, I had, got three brothers, one sister, or four brothers, one sister. Grew up in San Bernardino, California. Always had a huge love for video games. I was a Sega kid growing up. So shout out to all the Sega kids out there. I didn't do Nintendo at all. It might be the reason why I'm still slightly biased when it comes to Sega. But yeah, I was always been a Sega kid. Love video games from. I think my first video game, to be honest with you, Dave, that I remember was probably like ColecoVision. I don't know if you remember ColecoVision.
Oh yes.
Yeah, my cousin had it, and it had the little. It almost looked like a phone with a cord on the end of it, right? Like a corded phone.
Yep.
That was my very first memory of like playing a video game, and I thought it was out of this world. Like I didn't know what was going on, but I'm like, this is insane. And then obviously I've graduated since then, but. Yeah, so I mean, just my early beginnings, nothing too crazy. Got a family now. I'm a husband, got two kids. They're pretty much adults, 17 and 19. Sorry.
That's
Yesterday was
right.
my son's birthday. So
That's right.
yeah, man, just big gamer, love video games, man.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. Me too. I love games myself. So I guess you talked about the ColecoVision.
Yeah.
I guess so. Like, what's some of the game systems that you've had, over the years, or like, was there a certain game or a certain franchise that really just, man, this is what I want to be, my hobby for forever.
Well, you know what? I said I was a Sega kid already. I
Hmm.
had damn near every Sega system you could think of. Sega, even the 32X, the Sega CD. Oh yeah, all of that, all of that. Now, to be fair, I talked about Nintendo earlier, but I did have all of Nintendo's consoles. I've owned and then just the regular NES, the Super Nintendo, the 64, the GameCube. I've owned just about every. We have a Switch. My wife actually has a Switch as well, so we've
Nice.
always had Nintendo systems. But if I'm being honest, the first game that did it for me was, I don't know if you remember this game. It's called Altered Beast for
Oh
Sega.
yes,
Oh yeah, that
love
was
it.
the first game that did it for me. Collecting those orbs, it was almost like a Metroidvania kind of game when you think about it. And I didn't know
Hmm.
what Metroidvania obviously was at the time. I don't think that was a thing. Maybe there wasn't a name for it, but
Mm-mm.
essentially, if you guys don't know, you just pick these orbs up. You go from a regular human into like a full fledged, I would say, werewolf, right, Dave? Then you
Yep,
pretty much turn
that's
into a
right.
werewolf, and you get stronger as you get the orbs. And if you die and start all over again.
Yeah,
So
exactly,
that was
exactly.
the game for me that really hooked me. That and Ocarina of Time, which is my favorite
Ooh.
video game ever of all time on any system.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, man. That Zelda system was just the Zelda games series is just fantastic.
Oh yeah.
That was one of the best for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and Alter Beast. I remember when like if you got killed or you got wounded or whatever, and you make that Portland.
Yeah.
I used to hear that a lot.
Oh yeah, same here, man. We had session. We used to pass that controller back and forth for 8 hours at a time trying to beat that game.
Yep. That was it was definitely a lot of fun. And still available. I played it like not too long ago on my Steam
Really?
Deck emulated. Yeah.
Oh wow. See?
Yep.
See? Man,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, I like the old stuff too, man. I'm an old guy, but I like it all. So I
Also-
go all over the board.
Oh, same here. Like shout out to Pong who coined the phrase grazer. I'm definitely a grazer. So I'm grazing
Yes.
all over the place, old, new, a little bit of everything.
Yeah, that's definitely definitely a Pongism.
Sure.
Well, it was his favorite one was the golden age of gaming.
Oh yeah, golden
That's,
age again. I told him you got to put a copyright on that. You throwing away money, Pong. You got to put a copyright, something on that thing. We need bumper stickers, T-shirts, all of
We
that.
do. That's so funny. That's so funny. But yeah, and we'll kind of get into here in a little bit about your show and everybody that's on it. Let's kind of talk about I guess so obviously you're big into games.
Mm-hmm.
You really enjoy playing them, and then at some point I guess you've gone to the older systems, the newer systems that are available, I should say. And like so Ptk Bl4M. Where'd that come from?
So it's a funny story. I actually get asked this more than you would think about the because it's so like. So I was a big Halo fan. I'm still a big Halo fan, right? So I was really super hardcore into Halo 1, 2, and 3. Like really, like I wanted to be a pro Halo player at that time. I felt like I was good enough to be. So we started a Game Battles team. I don't know if you remember GameBattles.com. We used to be able to go and set up. You have a little team. It was free of charge. Then you can play other teams. You guys would get each other's gamer tags and set up the games, and it would keep track of like who's winning and losing. And essentially, it was like this, like almost like a fantasy football league, essentially, right, for Halo.
That's cool.
And we came up with the team or whatever, and I was trying to figure out like what could my name be because I had Blam for a very long time. Shout out to Snoop Dogg. So I actually got Blam from Snoop. It was a lyric.
Nice.
He said it was a lyric in one of his songs. Said something about Blam Blammer with the Blam, and I was like, oh, well, that's kind of cool. So I just used that. But the PTK came from the Halo Battles clan, which all of us, we happen to be older and not full-time gamers. So what it actually means is part-time killers. So that's what PTK stands for.
I love it. That's awesome.
Because we were a bunch of 30-year-olds trying to play game battles and stuff. And so we were like part-time killers. So that's kind of where it came from.
That's cool, dude. That's cool. And sometimes people are like, sometimes it's the little things you get curious about and you just want to know. And so thanks for sharing that, man. That's awesome.
Oh man. Yeah, I don't share I don't tell that story enough. Not so people ask me like, in DMs and tweets, but I haven't been asked that often on an actual show. So that's cool.
Well, now you'll have to catch this interview. If you want to know, check my interview out. There you go. That's too funny. That's awesome, man. I love it. So with the Blam, now you spell it with a 4. Is it just because it's cool, or was there like Blam was taken?
It was taken. It was taken. Yeah, unfortunately, it was taken. So I had to just had to use the 4, and it worked out. I mean, I kind of like it. It's kind of edgy, I guess, but I like it.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, you can see it. You know what I mean? You can it with the way you got the lettering and everything, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure that I got it in the ticker at the bottom, make sure I got it right too.
Oh yeah, appreciate it. Yeah. You're good. Thank you.
Well, I try. It's a good thing, just cut and paste. Yay, you don't get too many things wrong when you do that.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess when you've done your gaming and stuff that you've been playing, so I guess carry up here to the future a little bit, and then to almost where we are now, I guess. So what made you decide to start a podcast, or I guess had you been on other podcasts, or how did this all come about? With the shop podcast.
So it's kind of a long story. I'll shorten it as best as I possibly can.
We got all the time in the world.
So no, but ultimately it was around 2012, 2013, right before the Xbox One and the PS4 dropped. And the PS4 and the Xbox dropped, and we all know what happened right around that time. Xbox was getting destroyed, right? And so at the time, I was seeing the same opinion all over the place. And at the time, I was only getting my information from like a very handful of YouTubers and some of the big publications like IGN, GameSpot. That was the only place I was getting my information from as far as gaming. I didn't even know gaming Twitter existed at the time. That's kind of funny. So once I found out, there was like, I realized, like, I downloaded Twitter and I went on Twitter and I realized, oh, there's this gigantic community of gamers out here that have difference of opinion. I saw, shout out to Zaire, and I got to give him his flowers. I know a lot of people, you know, whatever the case may be, but I got to give him his flowers. Shout out to Zaire from BGST, because he was one of the few people who had a different opinion and who had an actual podcast at the time. Matter of fact, he was the only one that I knew of. So I watched his show and I'm like, you know what? I could do the same thing. Why not? Right, Dave? So, you know, it took me a couple years. The show didn't actually start officially till 2016. I didn't actually officially, you know, record. So I procrastinated for a couple years. Wifey actually pushed me to start the show. She went out and got a laptop and did all of that stuff. And was like, hey, you've been talking about this show and you've been dragging your feet. So here's all the stuff. Go do it. So she actually pushed me to do it. Shout out to my wife. She's awesome. So that's kind of how it started. I just wanted, I saw somebody with a different opinion and I said, you know what, I can do the same thing. Why not be able to put out these videos and, you know, have a show with different people on it and, you know, just have a different opinion. So that's kind of how it started. Right around 2013 is what gave me the idea, but it didn't actually happen until 2016.
Yeah. And I tell you, it's because of shows like yours that I'm doing what I'm doing today.
Oh, thank you, man.
No worries, dude. Thank you. You know, and you had said right, you hit the hammer. I mean, right on the head of the nail. You know, like gaming is like, you know, well, there's IGN, there's a couple other places that were quote unquote staples. And you know, like when COVID hit, and I was, you know, I'm here at home, you know, back at home doing all my work. Excuse me, for the bank here at the house, and it was like, you know, well, I got, you know, like to have audiobooks, something like that. But now that I'm home, I got a computer monitor right beside me. I can just, you know, stream podcasts while I'm working. And it was like, it was like they just were a little too biased for me. And just didn't, you know, wasn't my line of thing. And they still are, no offense to them, but yeah, they are what they are. But and obviously they're a big, huge juggernaut. But you know, I wanted something different. And you know, and then you like look around. I found, you know, Mr. Boomstick, found, you know, you know, the Shop Podcast and Dealer Gaming, and you know, Xbox 2, and just so many other great game channels out there, and great content providers. And I'm like, man, I like this. And then as I was watching Boom, and Boom had on like Pong and Mav, one of his shows, and then it was like, oh, they got a show. So I went over to their show and watched them, you know, and it was it fed the beast, as it were. You know, go along and meeting all these wonderful content creators. And then, you know, and I've been in radio for a few years, and then went to work for GameStop because it paid a lot more. Hard to believe, but it's true. Even as a program director, GameStop paid a lot more. But you know, as a lot of people think, you know, oh, radio, you make great money, you know, these famous people. And it's like, well, there's a lot of cool concerts you get to see, and you do get to meet some nice people.
If your name's Howard Stern, you do.
Exactly. If you're Howard Stern or Bob and Tom or Lex and Terry, then you're good to go. If you're not, it's like you make more money in the drive-through somewhere. Sometimes it felt like that. But anyway, so you know, I loved doing that. So I thought, you know, well, you know, I know how to do radio, and I'd already had a podcast, which I do with a friend of mine. That we do a show, but I kind of wanted the gaming thing, and it just kind of buzzed around, and I talked to Mr. Boomstick about it, and he kind of encouraged me to, you know, go for it, and he was like, I'll be your first interview. I was like, sweet.
That is awesome, dude.
Exactly.
So the same thing happened, and it's a funny story. Same thing happened with me and Tim Dog. Shout out to Tim Dog.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah. So it's crazy because once I discovered the community, and so I was on Twitter in 2013. I just didn't start the podcast till 2016. So I was already fully ingrained in the community. And back then, the community was a lot smaller in 2013. Believe me, 2012, 2013, there was maybe one podcast a week. Now there's like 20 a day. So the community is a lot smaller than it was back then. But shout out to Tim, because I reached out to Tim well ahead of my first podcast, and he did the same thing for me. So, you know what, dude, I know this is kind of new for you. I know this is something that you wanted to do. So I'll be your first guest and I'll come on the show with you. And, he made it real easy. And funny story is Aaron Greenberg was my very first guest. So
What?
yeah, if you go back to the very first podcast on my channel, it's Aaron Greenberg. It's Aaron Greenberg and Chris Money Rumble from Xbox. They both were on the show. That's my very, very first podcast.
What?
Yeah, so
that's awesome. Okay, so after we get done recording, guess what I'm going to listen to?
Yeah, it was so random. It was so, if you don't mind me explaining, it was so
you
random.
Go, dude. Are you kidding me? This is what everybody's listening right now going, how the hell did that happen? So come on, tell us.
So we were in the middle. So shout out to Tim once again. We're in the podcast. We had been doing it maybe 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. We're in it. Things were going great. And out of nowhere, Tim was like, hey, you think we can get Greeny in here? And I'm like, well, I don't know, man. Like, that's crazy. Like, me back then, I'm like, look, if that's something you can do, that would be great, whatever the case may be. And I'm pretty sure he shot Greeny a tweet or something, a DM or something. Mm-hmm. And maybe 5 minutes later, I get a DM from Aaron saying, hey, how do I get in here? How do I get in your show? And I'm like, what the hell? Like, what's going on here? And so he said he was listening. He said, I was watching you guys and I saw you, and he even went over what we had talked about previously. And I'm like, damn, he really was watching. And then Chris joined us as well. So it was just completely random. And we didn't even think Aaron was going to come. And then all of a sudden I get a message like, hey, I'm trying to get in here. How do I get in here? It was insane. For that to be my very first show, man, it got me started on the right foot.
Yeah, I'd say so. And now you can always say, well, Greeny was on my show. So,
yeah.
So, Phil, if you have a little time,
soon, hopefully.
That's it. Yeah, now you need to throw out there. You're like, hey, Sarah, if you can, Sarah Bond, you get a chance, because Greeny's been on a couple times, and that'd be, be nice to have you on, when you get a chance.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Throw that out there. Yeah, that's awesome, dude. That is so awesome, man. That's cool, man. Congratulations, man.
Because it was cool.
That's a good get. I'm telling you right now.
It was damn near an out of body experience. It was so random. Like I didn't think anything of it, and then boom, that message comes through, and I'm like, okay, this is real. Like this is not. How am I? And it was great. They were, the conversation was great. They were on for about an hour, him and Chris, and it was a great. We talked a little bit after it was over, and I had a great experience.
Well, me yourself. I was so in awe. I hit the wrong button. That's awesome, dude. That is so awesome. That's great, well, dude, man. And like you said, that's something I never would have known if I didn't get to interview and get to so this is cool, man. This is cool. That's why I do what I do. I love it.
Sir.
I love it. So, dude, well, all right. So when I'm speaking to royalty, and
cut it out.
No, but dude. You the thing is though, I mean, you've been at it for quite a while. What episode number are you up to on your podcast?
Yesterday, if you guys didn't check it out, by the way, I'm sure he's gonna get the links and all of that. But it was 274.
Yeah, 274. So for 52 weeks in a year, do the math.
Yeah, been going for a while now. Yeah.
Yeah, so and that's great. That's absolutely fantastic. So you got it down. You do have it. You do have it down, and you got a good rhythm. And like I said, the crew you have there now. So how did you? I mean, obviously they didn't start with you.
Yeah.
I mean, how did you work your way to where you are now as far as with Pong and Fuzzy?
So first thing I want to say, those guys are amazing. Pong and Fuzzy make me look good every single week. So shout out to them. I wouldn't be doing a podcast if it wasn't for them. And that's just 100% honesty. Those guys are like for real, my brothers. So shout out to them.
Awesome.
But obviously the podcast has gone through like 30 different versions. We've had multiple different people come, in and out the show. It's just kind of one-time guests. Some people stuck around for a few weeks, but the thing about being like a content creator and having a podcast is that you never know, Dave, like what's going to happen, like who's going to pop up. Like Fuzz and Pong were completely random. I just put out tweets about people being on the show, and Fuzz hit me up. This is probably 3 years ago. Fuzz been on the show for probably three, almost 4 years now. So it's been a while. Fuzz has been on the show, and Pong has been probably almost 2 now. Time goes by extremely fast. So yeah, I'm a big energy guy. So when they reached out and we got to talking, it's just an energy thing for me, and it felt good. It felt right, and that's pretty much what everybody that's ever been on the show. If most of the time the reason that people leave is for outside reasons. They want to grow, do different things, and I'm 100% fine with that. Please don't use the Shop Podcast. It's just a pit stop. So keep going. You know, I want people, anybody that comes on my show, I want you to grow, get as big as you want to be, do everything that you want to achieve, hit all your goals. So, you know, if it's not with the Shop Podcast, I try not to hold anybody back. You know, that's not really my stigma. You know, I wouldn't want anybody doing that to me. So, but these two gentlemen are amazing. Like I said, it's going through a bunch of different iterations, a bunch of different people, but I've settled, Dave, on the three of us at this point in time, and I'm 100% comfortable with that. I don't think I'll be making any changes anytime soon. Because just the chemistry. Yeah, I don't need
chemistry. You're right. It's really good chemistry. It really is.
And it's funny because I used to think I needed like to rotate people on and off, to be honest with you. And I'm at this point in time, I've been doing this long enough to where I know now that this is perfect for the show. It's perfect for us three. You know, the energy we have, the camaraderie, it all bounces off of each other. So that's where we're at now. And I don't really see that changing anytime soon, but you never know. Like I said, you know, I can meet somebody and things just click. And I'm like, look, this person needs to be on the show. So, you know, it happens like that. But yeah, those two are awesome.
Yeah, I agree with you. They're great on their own, and they do a lot of other podcasts with with individuals. You know, I do a show with I do 2 shows with Fuzzy.
Yep, yep.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
and then Pong is and I've had
he's a machine,
both of them
man.
on. Yes, had both of them on as guests, and of course we always give Pong a little hard time about his outro.
We got to, man. I tell everybody, just go to Pong's Twitter. Just follow Pong on Twitter. That's gonna be the easiest way to catch up. Shout out to Pong, man.
Exactly. I was gonna play something. I did this to him, I guess the other night when I was on your show. All right, when he got done talking, I hit the.
A few moments later.
I think I heard that. Yeah, I heard that.
And he was like, "Oh, Dave." I was like, "Well, you get what you get, buddy."
That's awesome, man.
But yeah, he's I mean, they're both great, man. I mean, they're good, solid gamers, and they know what they're talking about. They're not just a doorstop or a paperweight kind of talking. They really know their stuff, and that's what's great about it. So yeah, so that's cool, man. That's great. So why the Shop Podcast? How did you come up with that name?
Ultimately, so that's probably one of the hardest things people don't understand. Like being a content creator, coming up with the actual name of the podcast, probably one of the most difficult things, because you want to kind of stand out. You don't want to use, somebody else's name. You want to kind of stick out. But the Shop for me, because it's to me, I always think barbershop. That's where it came from. We're having a barbershop like conversation. We're sitting around shooting the shit, talking about games, having fun, nothing too serious. So it's a barbershop like conversation. So that's essentially where it came from. Even the logo is kind of like that barbershop. I can't remember the name of the actual little spinny twirly thing.
And that's actually that's back in the Middle Ages or whatever. When they used that.
Yeah, back in the day they used to use that. But yeah, so that's kind of where it came from, just a barbershop like conversation. So I wanted to make it really easy.
Yeah. There's your logo there. I put it on the.
Oh yeah, there it is. There it is.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's cool, man. That's cool. Well, it makes more sense now than I know. So, and it would be kind of weird if you called it the Barbershop Podcast.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, but a game shop, barbershop. It makes sense, because it's I mean, like even the movies that came out about the quote unquote the barbershop, or Coming to America is probably my favorite description of seeing the inner workings of a barbershop.
Exactly.
And that's how it goes. Around and ripping on each other and having a good time. That's
exactly nothing too serious, right? It can get crazy. It can get heated from time to time. You know how them barbershop conversations be, but ultimately everybody's having fun. Just talking.
Yeah. As long as nothing breaks out crazy like Luke Cage.
Exactly, right?
That's another good barbershop one.
Another good one.
Yep. So yeah, man, let me get the thing around. There we go. Get our overlay back up. But yeah, that it's a good fun show, and everybody, I'm gonna have it in the links below, the description, and the link to it, as well as your Twitter feed. But not only do you need to subscribe, but you make sure you hit a subscription. You hit the little subscribe button. That doesn't cost anything. That's free, and it helps them and it helps you, so you don't miss a show. And then there's a little bell icon after that. click on the bell icon so that you're notified every time his show comes up. And it's Saturdays, right?
Yeah, Saturday, 6 p.m. AZ time. I know that sounds weird from people
It's
who aren't from
Arizona time.
Arizona because we're the only place in the 50 states that our time does not change. So everybody else times moves, ours doesn't. So 6
Yeah.
p.m. for now. In like 2 weeks, it'll be different, and I'll update you guys. But 6 p.m. AZ time, 9 p.m. EST, 8 p.m. Central time. So
Yeah. When you shot me a message when we were first getting this date down and getting the time down, and you had said 11 or 11 a.m. your time. He goes, I think that's 8 a.m. your time, and I was like, wait, what? That and I first I was like, okay, cool, I'm gonna be up earlier to go.
Like
But that was just the opposite.
It was the opposite. Yeah,
and that's okay.
Yeah,
But it was funny because I messaged Pong and I messaged Fuzzy. He goes, "What time does his show start?" what time
almost
zone is he
happens
in?
with every new guest on the show. I can promise you, Dave. So it's not even I have to explain and double explain just to make sure everything lines up, because it's kind of wonky. Like I said, if you're not from AZ or you don't live here, then it'll throw you off completely. So
yeah, but boy, you got some beautiful weather most of the time though too.
Yeah. It's nice right now, by the way. So it's really really nice. Yeah,
so it's good here in Kentucky today. We got lucky. It's like a 73 or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Sunny. So
same here. Yeah.
Digging that.
Yeah.
Digging that. So let's talk about I guess some of the I mean, we got here. We're talking about gaming. So let's get into a little bit about if you don't mind, some of the the current events going on with gaming, not just the ABK deal, but I mean, every day it seems to be a new layer or a new wrinkle or something else thrown in that. So what are your thoughts on this situation that we're in as far as Microsoft acquiring more studios, Microsoft trying to grow and and better their business?
So
What are your thoughts about that?
So, well, there's two questions, right? One being an ABK situation.
Mhm.
So that's just going to. I'm okay. Like whatever happens with that, I'm completely okay. Like I'm at an impasse with that whole deal. I mean, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. If not, they're gonna figure something out. They got a building for the lawyers, and they still seem pretty confident whether or not the CMA approves that they're still going to be able to get it done. So I still feel confident that they're going to be able to get it done as well. So I'm pretty indifferent on the whole ABK Microsoft right now until we get something actually happening, because all the CMA doing is just a bunch of talking and asking questions. Like we once they officially move to phase 2, which I think is happening pretty soon, then that's when the ball will get rolling again and some actual things will start happening. At this point, it's just the CMA asking a bunch of questions, making a bunch of statements, asking if they trying to get feedback from the community, all kind of random weird stuff. So until they get to phase 2, I'm at an impasse on that. But as far as Xbox and their, them trying to grow their brand, this is exactly what they needed to do. And I'm so happy that Microsoft is fully behind Xbox at this point, because that has been the issue. That has been the issue for a very long time. People look at Xbox. Xbox is under Microsoft's umbrella. They're not holding the purse strings. So the fact that Satya fully embraced Phil was able to convince Satya first that Xbox needs to be at Microsoft. Because remember, Satya was like, "Look, why do we even need Xbox?" When he first got hired, why do you guys need to be here? And Phil had to convince him, otherwise there would be no Xbox. Phil had to convince him that Xbox was still something, it was still a pillar, it was still valuable to Microsoft, because Satya was ready to get rid of it. Like, I'm not going to keep putting a bunch of money in this service and it's not really doing what it should be doing. So once Phil convinced Satya, he got him on board, the purse strings opened up and you see what they needed to do. I love the fact that Xbox is insulating themselves from all these random market happenings. Because think about it this way, Dave. If you have 35 devs, it doesn't matter what direction the rest of the industry goes. I'm ready. I got 35 first-party developers that can make any type of game I need, any type of game or service game, single player, multiplayer. You need an RTS, we got it. You need an RPG, we got it. You need a shooter, we got it. They're insulating themselves from random market changes, because video games are random. Anything can happen. Certain types of games will cause the market to shift and go one direction. Look at like Fortnite. Fortnite came out of nowhere. We didn't know Fortnite was going to take over the world like it did. It changed the whole course of gaming. Look at Game Pass. Game Pass changed the entire direction. So you need to be ready for those changes. And they're insulating themselves from that by acquiring all these publishers and devs. And once again, It's good for us. There's plenty of the studios out there, and people, and I don't know why people do this, Dave. As soon as Xbox started, using their wallet, buying publishers, buying developers, everybody was like, well, wait a minute. We're going to run out of, like, people started treating the industry like we're going to run out of developers and publishers. That is not the case.
Right.
Like, we have more new studio. Every other day there's a new studio opening up. How many tweets are you seeing in your timeline from a brand new dev saying, hey, we just started a brand new team with a bunch of ex-devs from this place, just went over here and start. So there's always new developers being created. When you scoop up somebody like ABK, there's somebody else that gives somebody else an opportunity to come in and fill that gap. So I don't think that we're going to run out of dev. So I think consolidation is something that has to happen at certain times. It's not going to happen all the time, but there are going to be periods where you see mass consolidation, and then there'll be a long period of time where people will slow down, and that won't be happening. Then that's going to be a transition where a lot of those smaller studios that are being created in the wake of the larger ones being bought up are starting to grow and do their thing. So I'm 100% on board. This is how they had to do it. They tried the first party way. They tried to just do the third party exclusives. People forget, Dave, if you remember, you look at that Xbox One launch lineup, Dead Rising 4 was a third party exclusive. They had a bunch of those. Rise, Sunset Overdrive, all of those were third party exclusives, and it didn't work. It didn't work. That's Sony's thing. That's Sony's formula, and it works for them. So Xbox had to change the game. They hit the e-brake, went left, and said, we got to do something different. We're a tech company. What are we good at? Oh, we're good at networking. We got a trillion servers that we can utilize. We're good at cloud stuff. Let's use that. So they use their strength, and I'm all for it. And once again, just buying publishers and dev, that just bolsters the lineup. That way, we're never left out in the cold. If there's a particular genre or a particular type of game that takes off, we can do that too. So I'm 100% for it.
Awesome. I agree with you 100%, man. That's right on the money. I mean, that's what they're doing now is keeping them in the game. I mean,
exactly.
The big thing that people are like, a lot of times people, the whole thing was, like Microsoft doesn't have games and blah blah blah, and then they go out and they start acquiring studios and they grow their studios that they have, and they're investing in that, and all the time and everything they're putting into it, and now they're just really, they're getting more, and they want, even after this acquisition is done, they're not done. They've already said they're ready to buy more. And the rumor is most of it is maybe going to be something actual, like some kind of Japanese company or different, if not a a big company, maybe several of smaller Japanese companies, but just to help bolster that the market where they're kind of struggling in. So they were struggling in, now they're starting to grow in it, which is great.
And that's another thing, that the growth in Japan. I mean, listen, they're not Nintendo. We get it, right? Everybody's like, well, calm down. Listen, the fact that they've pretty much already outsold the 360 in Japan, and we are only a year and a half into the generation. That is huge for Xbox. It doesn't mean anything to Sony, doesn't mean anything to Nintendo, but it's growth in an area where listen, at one point, Dave, I'm like, you know what? That limb is dead. Just cut it off. Don't even worry about it. I thought they could just forego Japan altogether because it was a fruitless effort of mine. But once again, this is why I'm not CEO of that company. I don't know how to deal. I don't know how to. I can't see the market like they can because they still felt like, and Phil said it from the beginning when he got the reign, when he got the keys to the car. He said, "Look, Japan is still something that I personally want to go after. That's still a territory where I think that we have a lot of growth and a lot of potential in." And credit to Phil because he's seen that potential and they've doubled down, tripled down, I would say, even in Japan. And it's been impressive to see.
Oh, yes. I agree with you 100%. I mean, you need to look at like what just, obviously this will air on Monday, but for the time people are listening to this, we just got, a big, the Persona series, Persona 5, it's a huge game in Japan. And it's like, it's never really been on the Xbox, and bam, now look at it. That's awesome.
There's been a lot of games like that, though. If you think about the last few years, so many games coming from over there that we wouldn't have ever gotten. Like
Yakuza.
Come on now, man. These were pipe dreams 3-4 years ago, Dave.
Exactly.
These were pie in the sky. Like, well, I mean, if it could happen one day, that's the conversation we were having about Persona and Yakuza. So the fact that like these things are actually happening, and some of this stuff is going to be day and date in the future. Like we're gonna
Yeah.
get these games day and date when the new ones drop in the future on Game Pass. It's amazing, and anybody who can't see and look at that and say, you know what, that's huge progress, they don't really understand business. Because I don't understand how you can't see that and be like, you know what, that's a huge deal.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. The Japanese market is a big thing, and it's not necessarily, you know. Some people say, you know, like, well, I don't like those kind of games. It doesn't have to be for you.
Yeah,
Everything doesn't have to be for you, but that's the point. How they're going to grow and how they're going to get to the 3 billion players that he
yeah,
wants. You know, they're going to have to. They're going to have to really, you know, there's a lot of people out there, and I'm not saying you're one of them. I'm just saying there's a
yeah.
lot of people out there that say, you know, like mobile gaming, you know, that's not gaming. That's just you playing on your phone. Wrong. There's so much money that they can be making. I mean, you can look at it. The Candy Crush
Oh
last
man.
year alone, that one game that they're going to own after they get this Blizzard deal done, made more money than Call of Duty did last year. One mobile
Yeah.
game.
Yep.
So somebody saying, "Oh, it's just not gamer if you do." Bull crap. That's all I'm saying. My wife, when we got our 64 system years ago,
Uh,
and I loved it, you know, and she like not even 2 or 3 minutes of me playing Mario, and she's like, I can't watch this. The 3D made her nauseous. It just made her sick. She
yeah.
just couldn't handle it. She was big on like Donkey Kong Country, the side
Yeah.
scrollers. She burned those things up, you know. And now she plays a lot of mobile. And I told her, I was like, you know, she played Candy Crush before. I said, you know, that's gonna eventually it'll be on Game Pass, and we'll be. And she's like, oh, okay, good, you know. So she's excited for that
Exactly,
again,
right?
you know.
Exactly.
Why not? It all counts. No matter who may not want it to count. Gaming is gaming, and
Yeah.
and if you can get it spread on all these other different platforms, that would be fantastic. And I
That's
think
a
it'd be cool, maybe someday, you know, like with Game Pass, if they do have it to where, you know, like you have the Game Pass mobile or whatever, and you're able to play, you know, those type of like Candy Crush. But wouldn't it be cool to play Candy Crush on your Xbox?
Oh yeah. Oh
Why
yeah.
not?
Why not?
Yeah, I mean, if they can, you know, work the code in to work with a controller or a few things like that, to, you know, should be simple fixes for them, to, and that would even broaden the appeal even more.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Yep. Once again, like we got a lot of armchair CEOs out there. I know we're on Twitter a lot and we're on social media, and people, this is how business works, man. Like they had to do something different. You
hmm
have to, and that's how business works. You innovate or you die or you fall off. So
right,
they had to innovate. They had to take a step back and say, what do we do well?
yeah,
Sony does the first party stuff extremely well. They got that down to a science.
hmm
They pumped them first party AAA exclusives out like just like nothing. You know what I
hmm
mean? And they're always high quality. They always have set the standard in the industry. So that's Sony does that well, and Xbox can do that as well too. So I don't want to sound like Xbox can't make extremely high quality first party games, but they can. But they looked at the market and said, well, what can we do? Because disruption in the market is necessary.
hmm
Every so often. And Game Pass is disruption in the market. They say, you know what, we're good at computer stuff. We're good at infrastructure, cloud servers. We got that stuff on lock. We can do that stuff very well. How can we, use our games and pair the two? Oh, look, Game Pass. This is something that nobody else has been able to do. The idea has been floating around. You got stuff like On Live and GameFly. The ideas floated around, but never to this capacity because nobody's ever really had this idea, and one had the money to really do it, and two had the actual infrastructure to pull it off. Xbox has both, or
right,
Microsoft they has both. So that's why they're so successful. When people look at Game Pass and say, well, look at the raw numbers. It's not, is it making any money? It doesn't matter right now if it makes any money. They're not going to slow down. They're going to continue to spend more money. They're going to buy more developers and publishers. They're going to continue to make this service as valuable as possible because at a certain point, it's going to sell itself. It already
hmm
is it already is now, but at
yep,
a certain point, we're going to look like, why wouldn't you have Game Pass? That question is
hmm
going to become normal. Like that's a no-brainer, and that's where they need to get it. Same thing with Netflix, Disney Plus. It gets to a point to where it's like, okay, it's just obvious that I need this service at this point in time. So,
hmm
and and it's going to get to that point as long as they continue to do what they need to do and provide value. So,
and one of the things that I really like most about what the way they're going about it, is that it's you know, you have the games that you can play day and date,
Mhm.
you know, from Microsoft, which makes sense. And then you have, if you get, I guess, Ultimate, you know,
Yep.
you're paying $15 a month, 14.99, and then you're able to play console games. You know, there's if you have a PC, you can play it on PC.
Mhm.
If you have Game Pass, and even just today, if you go and search a game, say like A Plague's Tale Requiem on, if you search it on Chrome, not even just Edge, but now on Chrome, it comes up with a play button.
That's
And
amazing.
I tried it before the podcast, and you click on it, and it comes up and logs into your account if you have it, you know, with the um with your Game Pass account. Sorry, drew a blank. But you click on it, and there it was, and it was like, you know, this game requires a controller. I'll have a controller plugged in. Pushed a button, turned it on, click play. You see the little ship going across there as it loads and streams, and boom, there it was. I'm like,
Insane.
holy crap!
Yeah.
So, you know, to make it that available, and then now they have, you know, they've talked about how they want to have a mobile Game
Yeah.
Pass, which Boom called that like almost a year ago. It's awesome. He's like, they should do this, and a lot of people are going, I don't know if it'll ever happen. I think it's happening, and I think
Yeah.
he's right. I think that, you know, and if you get all that included in Ultimate, oh my gosh, you're covered every different direction, and then the
And
family plan
oh,
coming
see,
out.
that's where I was gonna go next. I'm like, we
Go
ain't even
ahead,
talked about the family pass yet. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and you know, so man, if you get all that for this, you know, low price, and there is, nothing makes me madder when a fanboy from any fan
Yeah.
will say, you know, well, you know, it's like the Game Pass is the Walmart of gaming or something. I'm like, jealous. That's all you are.
Yeah.
That's
I
exactly.
shop at Walmart all the time.
I was just there earlier today.
Exactly, right?
You know, and so, not everybody, you know, can own a Tesla. Shout out to Everborn Saga, but you know, and even then, he's for Game Pass as well. You know, there's nothing wrong with saving money, and in the long run, you talk about, you know, whether it's making money or not. You know, well, that's on them. If it wasn't making money, or they didn't think it was going to make money, they wouldn't do it. Wouldn't continue
It's
to
pretty
support it.
come on, Dave. That's simple business 101. Where
Yeah.
we're gonna cut. We just spent $70 billion on a service that we don't believe in.
Yeah, exactly. And you think about it, it's like, all right, so even if you throw out the $14 one, you go with $10, $9.99 for for the PC version,
Yeah.
right? If you have, well, what are they, it's like, we think roughly 30 million players,
Yeah, roughly
you know,
about 30. Yeah.
so 30 million times $10 every month gets you this. And they say, oh, over 100 games. We have almost 500 games,
Almost
and
500 now. Yeah.
it can vary, you know,
Yeah.
between 4 and 500 games. And of course, when day and date comes on these newer games coming out, that's going to continue to increase that. So you think, you know, and they do rotate some out. There is some games that leave, you
Yeah.
know, to make room for it. But if you think about that, once they get to 40 million, 50 million, 100 million, and they're
Man.
still able to just maintain 400 games, roughly 400 or 500 games. I mean, Microsoft is going to be making money. That's why they want to
Crazy.
continue to invest
Exactly.
in it, because it's making them money. It's giving them ability to grow the service to make it the juggernaut that they want it to be.
Exactly.
And that's good for us. It's good for gamers because
Yep.
it's affordable. There's a lot of people out there that cannot afford, especially in today's economy,
Oh
to
man.
spend a lot of money on a new system, you know. And if you can turn on your computer you already have, and you can log in on Chrome or on Edge browser, and and log into an account and have all those choices,
Why not? Right? Like,
exactly.
why not?
There's some kids out there that'll be like, because sometimes gaming is a good escape from some of the realities that are,
True.
not, that are kind of brutal in the world. So don't want to get on soapbox, but I mean, so and it's just, it's fun. It's a good release. It's a good way to get into it. I love I love the way things are going. What you said earlier about Satya, I love that he's behind him. Here's that
Yeah.
little clip of him.
So if this is about competition, let us have competition.
You know, and he said that, and it was like, game on. You know
Oh,
what I
yeah.
mean? I
Oh
love
yeah.
it.
That wasn't the case for a long time.
Mm-mm.
You know, they were separate. Xbox had their own little building over in the corner. You know, every now and then Microsoft would give them some crayons and some paper and let them do some, do something every now. But now Phil is at the table. Xbox is a pillar of Microsoft, right? Right along with Office, right along with the, all their other key core services, it's a pillar now, and that's exciting because, like I said, we've never had this at Xbox where a CEO was 100%. Well, I'm going to say we never had that because the other CEOs were as well, but it was a lot more hands off. The culture was different. It was still more just Office is our thing, and that's what we're going to put in the forefront. Now Xbox is, like I said, right up there with every other core service that they have. So seeing Satya, stand up and say, look, this is what we're doing. I'm putting all of our resources into this, and I like where this is going. The cool thing about Xbox and gaming is that they were able to blend their other core services into the gaming portion as well too. That's what makes it so cool, is that this does not change any type of business for Xbox. I mean, for Microsoft. This is what we do anyway. We do this anyway. So they were able to implement the cloud and all these other things that they do anyway right into their gaming sector. And it's funny because they realize, well, holy shit, we already have these things here that can boost our service. We don't need to go find a bunch of external things to help the service out. We don't need to go reinvent the wheel. We already have everything we need here. That's why Game Pass is so successful. And with the backing of Satya saying we're 100% behind it, nothing but greatness can come from this, And that's why the whole idea that this is going somewhere or it's failing becomes more asinine as the days go by, because there's absolutely no sign or indication that they're going to throw this away, or it's going to go in the trash, or it's losing money, or they're not happy with it. There's been not a single sign, a tweet or a quote or anything saying I'm disappointed with Game Pass from anybody.
Right.
So I'm not sure where any of that energy comes from. Besides, like you said, the fanboys, you know how that goes.
Yep. Yeah. I just try and ignore them as much as I can. There is times when they do get you goat, and you're just like,
I
but,
get in, I play around for a little bit. I got time every now and then. I got time.
You like poking the bear a little bit?
Oh yeah, it's fun. It's we do it in sports. Why not? It's all part of the game.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, I own a PlayStation 5. I own a Switch. I own a Steam Deck. And I play all over the place. So it's like, I'm a gamer, but I really like what Microsoft is doing, and I think Game Pass. And I, to be honest, I don't know if I never would have. I'd heard about Game Pass when the new console came out, and they gave the option for the all access.
Yeah.
And I had the money to buy one of the systems right away.
Yeah.
And I talked to my wife. Got to go through the boss.
Yeah, obviously got to get clearance.
Gotta get clearance. And I said, look, I can buy PlayStation 5. I said, and I can put the Xbox on this thing they call all access. I said, it's going to be with tax and everything, because I bought the Xbox Series X.
Yeah.
And with $37 a month is my payment for 2 years, no interest. Just that's that plus the tax, and includes the price of the Game Pass Ultimate for that entire 2 years. I said, that way I've got some games to play. It's what I told her, and she's like, all right, sure, let's do it. We can afford that as a monthly payment, not a problem. And the next month is my last payment on that.
Awesome.
I'll go around and do it again. But but yeah, so it's like that was for me, that was the way they did it. And then it was like maybe 2 or 3 weeks of kind of checking out what was available on Game Pass. Even then, it was like, this is pretty cool.
Yeah,
some older games, stuff to play. Yeah, exactly. And then when Flight Simulator came out, I'm like, holy crap, this is awesome. So yeah, it's been pretty nice, and we know a lot of great things are still coming. So I love it, man. I love it. We could probably talk gaming all day. So let's kind of let's get to, I guess, if you don't mind, I got as we wrap things up. So what is, I guess, the game or a game, and it can be more than one because almost everybody gives me more than one, that you are most looking forward to coming out that's not out yet, and it's something everybody knows, because sometimes some of my guests have inside knowledge.
Oh
I don't
yeah,
want to
yeah, yeah.
don't want to make anybody mad or get anybody in trouble. But if it's something you know is
Yeah.
coming out, and it can be future, it can be way off, whatever. But like, what game is it that you're like, man, I can't wait to play this?
All right, so there's a couple. There's
Okay.
probably a handful, to be honest. One, and
Go right ahead.
this one is I'm hoping EA doesn't drop the ball on this, literally and figuratively, and that's going to be college football.
Oh yeah.
So we heard, a couple years ago they announced that they are working on a new college football game, and I don't play Madden, I don't play 2K, I don't play NBA Live. It's been 10, 15 years since I bought one of those games. I just all I played at the time was college football. I bought college football yearly up until probably 09. I think that was the one that had Darren McFadden on the cover. If you remember, I'm sure you remember. You're from Kentucky. You remember Darren McFadden.
Oh yes.
So Arkansas finest. But yeah. So that was the last college football game I bought. So I'm super looking forward to this next one. I don't know what EA is going to do. I don't trust them like I used to trust them with college football, because every year the game was really, really good. It got better every year. I don't know what they would do with the college football now. I don't know how that's going to look. So I'm pretty tentative on, but I'm still excited because I wanted to get back into sports games, but I have no reason to. Like, I'm not in the 2K. I love watching basketball. I'm a big NBA fan. I don't like playing it though. And same thing with Madden. I can't stand Madden at all. Madden years ago, I'm in a bad spot with Madden, so I don't even bother with it. I'm dying to get back into a sports game. That's one. What else is Starfield? Starfield, obviously, right? I think we probably a million people that say, yeah, I'm waiting on that game too. But it's another game. I'm not. The funny thing is, I've never been a huge like Western RPG fan. Because I'm a grazer. I'll put in 4 or 5 hours. I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. I'll move on to something else. I might come back. I might not. So I'm going to challenge myself to put more time into these types of games. So I want to play Starfield. It's going to be massive. It's going to be huge. It's obviously they've been building this game for, it's been Todd's baby for, what do you say, 20, 25 years now, I believe. He's been thinking about Starfield thinking about making it. So knowing the time, passion, and care that's going to be put into it, knowing it could be that, the next Skyrim in space, for the lack of a better term, I want to experience that, right? I want to know what that feels like. I want to dive into that world and really get into it. So Starfield would be one. What else am I looking forward to going forward? Fable.
Yeah,
Fable's another one. And then probably Avowed would be the other one. I'm an Obsidian fanboy. I've gone on record, and I'm gonna continue to say this as long as they're around. I think that they're a top 3 dev at Xbox, and I think that they're going to be the Xbox version of Insomniac.
Yes.
And that's, and shout out to Insomniac as well. They're amazing, but I think they can do any kind of game that you need them to do at an extremely high quality. They put out games on time. The quality's always there. They can do multiple games, 2-3 different games. Look at Grounded. They can go from think about this. They can go from a Grounded to an Outer Worlds to an Avowed. Think about the versatility. That's an RPG. One's in space. Another one's a traditional Western RPG, more sci-fi, magic and wizards. Then you got Grounded, which is Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Like, it's an insane think about this. It's crazy, that versatility. So that Avowed would probably be the last, and that's just in the immediate, probably next 12 to 16 months. I'm not really looking too much further outside of that.
Right. Well, I get you, and thank you for sharing that with me, man. I appreciate it. And it's just so hard. You can't just pick one. I get it. Trust me. I get it. Well, Ptk Bl4M, tell everybody where they can find you, how they can reach you and everything, and how they can get a hold of you.
First and foremost, thank you, Dave. Appreciate you, brother. You got a great thing going on here. You've had some awesome guests, and I can wish you continued success, brother. I had so much fun here today. I appreciate you inviting me. But if you guys listening, find me, Shop Podcast, every Saturday, 6 p.m. AZ time. Once again, 9 p.m. EST for now. That's changing in November, and I'll update you guys on the whole time change situation. And then as well as Twitter, Ptk Bl4M. Find me there. That's where you're going to be able to keep up with everything. I got the link tree. We're now on Anchor FM. I just posted the Shop Podcast 274. I posted the audio on Anchor FM. So go there for my audio only listeners. You guys have been asking me to do that. So from going forward, every Shop Podcast will be posted there, the audio. So check it out as well, man. But I appreciate you, Dave. Had so much fun, brother.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate you being here. So everything is going to be down below in the show notes too, no matter whether you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify or iHeartRadio. All of it will be in the description. Will be listed there and there, so you can definitely find it and get more information there as well. But if you're on YouTube, I can't tell you enough, man. Subscribe to the channel. It's free. It's great show every week. It's fun and it's a good time and it's informative as well. People that know gaming and know what they're talking about. So you definitely want to do that and hit that little bell icon. That way it doesn't matter what time zone you're in. You're going to know when the show's dropping. So that's the best thing I can tell you there. Is make sure you do that. So again, PTK, thank you so much for being here, man. I really appreciate your time. Thank you. And thanks to everybody else for joining us here on Outbreak Gamers.
Game